This episode of Tales from the Lot is sponsored by ShakedownT-shirts.com with unique lot-style T-shirts, license plate frames, coffee mugs, and all sorts of things for Grateful Dead, Fish, Zappa, Panic, and more. ShakedownT-shirts.com, where all U.S. orders over $35 ship free. And just for Tales from the Lot listeners, use the code LOT20 for 20% off of any order. That's LOT20. Tales from the Lot, episode 20. That bus has a lot of wheels. An old friend joins me to talk 62892 at Deer Creek and a whole bunch of other shows we saw together. Here we go. Hi, welcome to Tales from the Lot. This is Will. My guest this week is Kurt. He's from Peru, Indiana, and I kind of know him for like 20, 30, 40, 30, I don't even know how many years, but how you doing, Kurt?
I'm doing good. Thanks.
Thanks for coming on here. We, Kurt and I saw a ton of shows together, and so we'll go over a bunch of that. But I honestly, I don't know when we met. I can't remember when we met. Like 90?
Yeah, 90.
I don't.
It was like I was like 15 or 16. And
Yeah,
you were
I don't remember the moment though.
I don't either. It must have been through Johnny. Like you knew Johnny and Stevie. Maybe through them. You know.
I think it was. And then so, I sort of know your family was a musical family. What were you listening to growing up before I met you and as a kid and through your grade school and middle school years musically?
I'll give a brief 20 minutes prologue. Well, my parents were both musicians. My dad is a songwriter. They were into Christian music, that kind of stuff, But the music I got into, the first tape I ever bought was the Boogie Boys, which was like this early 80s rap group. They had this song called A Fly Girl. And I remember that I was like 11 years old and I found this tape and I thought it was so cool.
So sorry to interrupt you, but I just bought that on record like 2 weeks ago.
The Boogie Boys? What?
With Fly Girl on it and like
really?
Yeah, and you're so fly, go ahead with yourself. Yeah, that's hilarious. I literally just like 2 weeks ago bought that on my
That was it. That was the first cassette I ever had. I thought it was so cool. And then I got into some like Run DMC, the Fat Boys. It was into some rap, And then I remember I bought the Poison album, the one that had Every Rose Has Its Thorn.
Right, with the tongue or whatever on it.
Yeah. And which I don't know how I convinced my parents. Maybe I snuck around and bought it, or something.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have let me have it as being in a religious household, But then, like when I got into high school, I met Todd G. I don't know if you remember who I'm talking about, but he was into all this alternative music. He loved Susie and the Banshees. That was like his jam, And so he turned me on to them and to like The Cure and all these like goth bands, So I got real into that for a little bit. And that's what I was into when I met you, I think. I was like really
Yeah, definitely. I remember you were like the first person to tell me about like Morrissey and the Smiths.
Yeah, Morrissey, the Smiths. I love Jane's Addiction and I was into Nirvana. That was the music from our era, And
yeah, for sure.
I really got into that stuff, but I didn't even know who the Grateful Dead were until I met Matt V.
Yeah.
And he had like this T-shirt on. I was like, "Who's that?" He's like, "Dude, it's the Grateful Dead." I'm like, "I'm not into heavy metal, I thought they were a heavy metal band. It's like the Grateful Dead. It's like some heavy metal shit. I'm not into that." And then, well, we went to your house and you played an album for me.
Yeah.
We want to get into
Europe
all that.
72. Europe 72.
That was the first album I heard. And it was also the first time I had ever taken psychedelics.
Oh, yeah.
So, out in your garage, man. Remember that?
I do, yeah. I had a wannabe Midwestern punk band going on in there.
Oh, yeah. So it was my first psychedelic experience, and also the first time hearing the Grateful Dead. And I remember you put on Truckin' after we got going a bit, like an hour into the trip, I was like, what the hell is this? And I kept on thinking, okay, it's a cool song. It's kind of country, yeah, it's good. Yeah. It just kept going. And it kept going. And I remember looking at you like, dude, is this still Truckin'? And you're like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I totally
And that,
remember
that like I rewired my brain or something. Hearing that trucking all the way through into the morning dew,
that.
just that was it. I was on the bus,
Yeah,
that
for sure.
experience. So then I don't know how much longer, if it was that summer, but Grateful Dead came to Deer Creek in '92, and that was my second psychedelic experience, going to that concert. Yep, and so that was a good time.
It was. I gave that one a listen, and a couple things stood out to me. The first set is a monster. Help Slip Frank. Tons of other sort of first set staples, and then it ends with
play like
a
a
new
Spoonful
Speedway
in there or something.
And New Speedway Smokestack Lightning to end the first set. Like, what's going on there?
Like for real. And, I was like 17, maybe I was 16. I don't know. I was pretty young, and just had just gotten turned on to this stuff. So to me, I'd heard Europe '72, and I think we'd listened to Without a Net, so I was a little familiar with some of the new stuff, but I didn't really. I just remember thinking like these old beatnik hippie dudes were up there, and they're just playing the funkiest, far out jazzy music, and it just blew my mind, like seeing that.
I was trying to remember. Yeah, the China Rider, and then so the Estimated. I mean, if you're into Estimated Bob Weir fests, that one is particularly good. And then after that, it just sort of just melts. It just melts down for a few, and that's a great Estimated.
One thing I remember, I mean, we were experiencing this together. I was standing right next to you, and I remember I'd never heard some of the songs. When they started playing, Jerry started singing "To Lay Me Down," and I'd never heard this song. And I remember you had such a reaction to it. You're like, wow. I'm like, what? This is just some slow song, some ballad. And, looking back now, I'm like realizing how special that was. That was a treat, dude. That was a good Jerry treat.
And oddly enough, the Casey Jones is sort of a treat too, because at that point, it had been many a year. I can't remember exactly, but it had been a while since it had been.
A while,
yeah. And another thing, if I could add the China Doll, the guitar solo that Jerry rips in there, which is like the Jerry slow song at the end of the second set, which it doesn't usually do, but the tone he's got in there is just so nasty, like just the right amount of distortion. Just
they were in such a weird place, like the band that is at that time, with Vince on his own, which in 30 years of perspective, looking back, I kind of like the shows with Vince alone sometimes better, just because he was like trailing with him playing with Bruce. It didn't always turn out as good with Vince, but he could really shine on his own. And man, the band was like, the wheels were falling off, but they'd been falling off a long time, and that bus has a lot of wheels,
It's a
lot of wheels.
Still had that further sign on the front of it.
So I mean, it wasn't as good as they'd been, like that era, not that show, but just that era. But there were still a few concerts we saw that they were the real Grateful Dead still, they kicked it up a few notches.
Yeah. I think the following year, the Buckeye Lake show, the one you were at the one where Sting opened, right?
Yeah, I was there for that.
I think that one in particular, which you can see the whole show on YouTube now.
I know, isn't that awesome?
Is just amazing. Like, we did see some great shows. Actually, I pulled it up. So like, did you go to Richfield? I think Richfield '93 in the spring. You might have been in. You were still in school at that time.
I don't think I went to that one, but I was at that legendary '94 Richfield show.
The
one with the Stella Blue and the Love Light. That was. I just listened to that the other day, and it was. I haven't listened to it in a long time, and I was shocked at how good that show is. Like, they're all in sync. Jerry's voice sounds great, and he's playing these licks that it's like, okay, yeah, I know he's got diabetes and all the problems with arthritis, but man, he could still rip it up,
Yeah.
So there were some really good points.
Yeah, for certain. I mean, look at this. We probably saw 15 shows together, Grateful Dead shows. Soldier Field '94, Deer Creek
Yeah.
94 and 93.
Yeah.
You know what though? I remember right before Deer Creek 93, we brought the Grateful Dead movie from Blockbuster or somewhere, and to your house to watch with your dad to turn
We
him
watched
into
it
a
with my
deadhead.
dad.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, right there in your living room, we watched the Grateful Dead movie, and that's what got your dad sort of on board with going. He's like,
That's
they're
right.
not bad.
He
Yeah,
went to, was it 93 he went to, or 94? He went to one of
yeah.
those concerts with me.
Right. So like, I have this vivid memory of you and I rolling up to his office because he was sort of the boss of what he was doing, and
Yeah.
we go up there and he's on the phone and he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah, listen, I'm going to a Grateful Dead concert. I gotta go." And he like, and you guys take it off to that. And I think we met you somewhere along the way because I was like, I was too cool for that. I was like, I like your dad and all, but I think I'm going to go hang out with these people who are taking the acid.
I kind of remember a little bit. My dad, like I said, was into Christian music, but he was a good dad. He still is a good dad. He's still around, and
Yeah.
he always showed up. He was there. He'd show up. He'd go to all the stuff, and I think, I'm like 17 or 18, and he wanted to see what I was into, and it's weird because that's their era, the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
He never got into that stuff. He was into other music, never got into the hippie shit, But I think it was just, he was a fish out of water, man, like
Totally.
all these hippies doing cartwheels and tripping their balls off.
Didn't he take your mother back the next year or something like that? Like,
No, mom never went. No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just the one time. Just the one time. But
Gotcha.
I still, that was a good dad thing. That was a good dad move, As a dad now,
for sure.
I really appreciate it, It's
For sure.
like
Have you been to Taylor Swift or something yet?
That's what I was gonna say. It'd be like taking my girls to see Taylor Swift. Yeah.
So you went west also, right? You saw a bunch of shows that I didn't see out on the West Coast. Did you go with Matt to those, or who was?
I went with the late great Chris L. I'll say something. Chris Long. This is probably doing Chris Long, but he's not with us anymore. Which is sad because he was a great guy.
He was a truly great guy. Like
he was a wonderful guy.
Like just a good soul.
Yeah, he was a Jeep dude. And he called me up one day and was like, "Dude, we're going on a West Coast tour. Why don't you come along?" I went with him and also the late great Tully. Remember him? He's not with us anymore either. Jeffrey Sullivan. Remember him?
Right, yeah.
Tully.
Oh, yeah.
He went with us, but he was like full book at that point, and like didn't really hang out much. He'd somehow make it back to the car after every concert, go on to the next one.
Difficult.
He went off and did his own thing, But yeah, we went out there. We caravanned out there, and I mean, I got some good stories about that trip. That was my first like real trip out west, without my parents or something.
Right.
And it was magical, like rolling up over Washington State and like over the mountains and the sunrise. It was truly magical. And then getting into Seattle, Seattle's known for it to be always rainy, and this is late May, and it's the most gorgeous day. It's like 78 degrees, sun is shining, all the heads are out partying, and you could hear the music outside the venue perfectly, just like being in the lawn. Just couldn't see the band. So we went into the first night. We got there late, and I saw like half the first set and the second
what was the
set.
venue?
In Seattle, I don't know the name of it. Just whatever. Okay. War Memorial, maybe? I don't know if that's right.
Sorry to interrupt you.
You'll have to look it up. But this is Spring Tour 95.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to the first concert, and it was okay. The second night, we didn't get in, but we sat outside, and we're just sitting on a blanket hanging out. And they played a Scarlet Fire. I don't know if you've heard this one, but the Fire in the Mountain, Jerry got this crazy effect, this like octave, where he's like, it was so weird. I've never heard him play anything like that. And it was, you could tell he was having so much fun. He's like trying out new sounds and like really getting into it. And that was a treat. That was really cool. The rest of the shows weren't that great. Like Portland was Like I remember he played they played Shakedown and Jerry he wasn't even playing a solo. It was just the rest of the band,
Yeah.
just playing rhythm, and he was just kind of like doing his thing,
Yeah.
So those weren't that great, but it was an awesome experience. It was really
Yeah.
cool seeing all
That's
that.
part of it.
But we decided, Chris and his wife at the time, we were with his sister too. All of us decided we're going to go camping out in the mountains in Oregon. We're just going to take this logger trail, off. We're going to go up there and camp, right?
That
Got
sounds
up
great.
there. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Until you were actually there. And then there's these tornadoes, man, of mosquitoes. Like literal giant columns, like swirling. And they descended upon us. And we're smoking cigarettes, we're smoking bud, we're doing everything to smoke these. Maybe we'll get them stoned or something to leave us alone. It didn't happen.
Yeah, they'll lose their way and go away.
No, it didn't happen. And so finally we gave up. We're like, we can't. We're gonna get killed here by these mosquitoes,
Yeah.
So we left and we're coming down the mountain and I'm following them and I hit this pothole or a rock or something and I got a flat tire. And we made it. Like I drove, it was real close to the main road. I kind of drove to the road and just pulled over. I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do, I don't have AAA. This is 1995. No one had cell phones, just out there. And this guy, these hippies like pulled over. The guy like got out, helped me fix the tire, and was just like the kindest guy. He like gave me some buds, and he's like, here, man, got you. Like my guardian angel, man. So just it was that kind of trip. Just a lot of positive vibes. And it was really cool. It was a good trip.
I remember when you came back from that. Yeah, you came back from that talking about the Jerry whale call. You're like, dude, he's doing these crazy whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, and, that was from that Fire in the Mountain. That just blew my mind. I've never heard him do something like that. And we're talking about the later day Grateful Dead. I just love the direction they were going. They came out with all this new material, and some of the songs were easy answers. I like Eternity. I don't think the lyrics are really dumb, but the song itself was cool. Like the jams they would do. I was listening to that Richfield '94 show, and that Eternity is really good.
Yeah,
and it's like a good blues song, but they would take it like the next level, and like Lazy River Road, So Many Roads.
Great song. Yeah, So Many Roads, great song.
The
Days Between.
That's such a good one.
Yeah.
So they had some really good material they were working on, and it's just the time was up,
Yeah.
But I would have loved
even Liberty's okay.
Yeah, Liberty's cool too. I was grooving to that the other day.
It's okay when you don't hear it every night. I felt like there was a minute there where we were hearing it, every other night or so.
Same with like I Fought the Law. Everyone just started groaning when they heard that.
Yeah. Time to go.
But it was a cool song,
We were there for the first one of those, by the way.
Was that the my first
Richfield
show?
'93.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Jeremy and I drove over there, and then I think did you fly or something? And we went.
I don't think so. I don't know.
You came the second day.
I think I came I know I went to Rosemont with Matt V that year. And
you were at Richfield '93, and I'm pretty sure you flew, and we went and picked you up at the airport.
Really?
Yeah. Because we got snowed out the first night, and they got canceled, and there was a big party, and we all just partied in this hotel, and then you had something. I don't.
Are you thinking of
Memphis?
Because I know I flew into Memphis and Chris Long picked me up.
This was definitely Richfield because there was the Terrapin Station and that super weird Karina.
Yeah, which I like that song now.
It's a kung fu morning. The sun is shining on me. I'm just trying to get my space together. Can't you see? I need some kung fu coffee.
I had this 8 o'clock meeting at the office and I'm not feeling it.
Here, babe, try some kung fu coffee.
Kung fu coffee? Damn, that coffee kicked my ass.
There's 5 more bands at the festival today. I didn't sleep at all last night.
Here, try some Kung Fu coffee.
That coffee kicked my ass. Our coffee beans are grown in our secret laboratory deep underground in Canada, with a recipe handed down from my Uncle Tom. Our facility is protected by several hundred top-notch ninjas who also participate in grinding the beans with their bare hands. And well, I suppose that's where we got our name. It's a kung fu morning. Sun is shining on me. I'm just trying to get my space together. Can't you see? I need some kung fu coffee. Kung fu coffee. It kicks your ass. Okay, so you're a bit of a musician yourself too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing guitar for like 30 years, but I'm not very good at it. I know enough to like play the songs I like, and I've been working on scales and trying to be able to do some lead. Mostly, I just play chords and stuff. But what I like to do is like MIDI music. I like to make like it's not really reggae, but it's in that style. Like that's the roots. That's my roots, is the reggae dub stuff. And so I kind of take that approach to my music. And I still work with Johnny and Spencer. We do a lot of music together. They're still doing stuff too. We all use Reason software, which it's great because I can plug in my guitar and record analog, and also play MIDI with my keyboard. So.
Speaking of our local haunts back in the day, there was the one in particular, the Waffle House. I can't even explain why groups of teenagers would hang out there in the number of like 10 to 12 to 13 of us.
It's a lost. People don't do that anymore. Maybe some people do, but not as much. That was where we grew up there, man. We spent hours.
We did. We would just drink coffee and bullshit until the sun came up sometimes.
Yeah. Just buy one pot of coffee. Poor waitress is like.
Yeah, right.
And we'd like go out to your car and smoke doobs and listen to the bed all night.
Yeah. Oh man. So the last episode of this I did with a guy who was at the Warlock show, and so I was listening to that and brushing up, and I was just like, listening to that just took me back to a moment sitting with you out in the car, like playing a kazoo or something, listening to this Warlock show, just like I knew this thing note from that happening.
We wore those tapes out, dude. You would send off your Maxell XL2s to like random just people you somehow met, like at concerts or something, and they'd send you back these to see sixth generation tapes. Some of them were good, but that was what we had, and we loved it. They were treasured possessions. When I moved to Peru, I had all these old cassettes, and we didn't have the room for them, so I got rid of them. But I was just the whole time like, man, I poured so much energy into these cassettes. These things are almost like living creatures at this point,
Mm-hmm.
But that's no need for them. We've got everything better sounding on the internet, and it's all free archive.
It's true. Yeah, you can go to the Internet Archive and really just pull up anything you need, and it's all there.
Did you keep your tapes? You still got them?
No, I let them go long ago. I do have somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, thousands of vinyl records still.
There you go. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. But no, I got rid of the tapes. Just didn't.
I mean, I don't even have a cassette player. And it was just, these were the treasured possessions. We worked so hard to collect those. And I remember going into your little bedroom, and we'd have, just have it running constantly, making copies of these tapes that you got.
Totally. I was trying to give them to anybody who would take them too, like, around school, around just wherever, didn't matter.
Yeah.
Here, listen to
Yeah.
this. Listen to this. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, man, those are fun. Those Waffle House years were the formative years. You know, that was a good time. That was where we discovered all this music. You know.
Totally. Yeah, we listened to a lot of Zappa and a lot of just
Zappa
everything.
and Grateful Dead.
P-Funk snuck its way in there too. I know you and I went to the World Mardi Gras, and it was like a bar where they could it was and I didn't know about it, but I remember walking into your room one day and you had, I think it was like maybe Parliament's Greatest Hits or something. And we're listening to it and you're like, yeah, they're coming to Indy. And I was like, well, we should go. Let's look into it. So we did. And it was at this place called the World Mardi Gras, which no longer exists, but just sort of, I tried to look this up and sort of from memory also. I want to say it had several bars they could close off, and it would be like a band playing on this part and a band playing over here, and they would close the walls. But this particular night, they totally opened it up to one big thing because, it's Parliament, so it's P-Funk, so whatever. Yeah. They're going to need more people. But my memory of it is they didn't stop for like 4 hours. Like it was just like a nonstop, longest concert I've ever been to that didn't have a set break. Yeah, and just being blown away and have been. I've seen as many P-Funk shows as I could get to after that for sure.
I think that's the only one I saw.
Yeah, they're probably a close
third. I don't remember
third.
too much. What's that?
They're probably a close third between like Fish, Grateful Dead, and then.
Oh P-Funk. Yeah. That's the stuff. I mean, I love the funk music, man. That's the stuff I'm into nowadays. But I like from what I remember of that, and I don't know if we were taking any substances or anything, or if we were just smoking some weed or something. But I remember it being at like some hotel and like walking into the lobby. I don't know what it was, but I remember like going in there and thinking this wasn't like a regular concert. It wasn't an arena, it was just like real laid back. And I don't remember there being a lot of people, but I remember them busting it out,
Yeah.
Playing some funky music.
For a long time. Like they just kept going.
Yeah.
And we saw you and I we saw a ton of Fish shows too, like one in particular, the Halloween '95, which I
went there with Johnny, and we had seats together, Johnny and I. You guys were there, but I don't remember being with you at the concert.
No, maybe
I do remember that was a legendary show.
Yeah, it was.
I wish
there was a video of that. Yeah, we did. Like, we did see a ton. Like, when they came to Deer Creek and like just all the stuff. Right? Like we went to like Dayton and Louisville and like.
Yeah, the Dayton show. I'm pretty sure we were at that '94 University of Chicago show.
Yeah, that was my birthday actually with Joe.
Oh, really? No kidding.
Yeah, Joe was there. I think that was his first show. And then he actually
like the greatest show of all time,
No doubt. And he's been on the bus ever since. We were just texting a couple of days ago. He's seen 23 shows this year. He came out and stayed with
Joe
me.
C from Washington?
I'm talking about Joe O, or Joe H rather.
Oh yeah. Okay, right. I know who you're talking about.
He's seen 23 shows this year, and he came out and stayed with me for Dick's and did all 4 of those.
I got out of Fish for a long time. Like I think my last concert I actually went to was in '99. We went to I was living with this guy in Bloomington, and he took me. We decided we were just going to go to some Fish shows, and we went to that big airfield, this festival, right, in '99. And then we went up to Canada and saw a concert there. The one at the airfield was pretty good, but the Canada show was terrible. Like, at least that's how I remember. It was probably great, but I was like, this sucks. And I just never saw them again until I got back into them last year, and I've watched like every concert this year from my couch,
Yeah.
And they're pretty good, man. I mean, and going back and revisiting all that stuff, I'm like, dude, I saw the Barat '93 show. That was just legendary performance, and didn't even realize it,
Yeah.
And like, oh man, that's some good shit there,
I was like you, like,
Bathtub
oh yeah. After '96, I didn't see Fish for a long time. And then like I said, they're playing Super Close at Dick's every year, and so 2014, I decided to go check it out.
Nice.
And then and so I've been back every year since, and it's like, it's not what we saw in '94 and '95.
Well, Trey's doesn't have the speed, but he's still got the musical mind,
Yeah, but it's like the best thing out there still.
Oh yeah, some of their jams they take. In fact, wasn't it at Dick's that Split Open and Melt just went way out there?
Yeah,
and that was good stuff, man. I was like, this is bringing me back.
Yeah, I love Dick's, like just getting down there on the field, like right in front of Paige or something, or like just sort of off to the side, not right in the front, because Trey creeps me out. He gets all starey and stuff, and likes to wait.
Yeah, right. And the people there.
Yeah, but man, it's just such a, like, I don't know. That's playing your trip around that. Come out for Dick's next year.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I want to see Fish one more time, just because, dude, they're getting old. They've been together 40 years. You think about the Grateful Dead, they only did it for 30. If you don't count the stuff they're doing now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows how much longer they're going to be doing it,
No doubt. Did you see any Dead and Company shows?
I saw one, like 4 years ago with Michael M. I don't know if you remember him.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it with him, and it was really good, actually. I was pleasantly surprised. They played this Terrapin that was great. But, it's like seeing Bob Marley and the Wailers without Bob Marley. That's how I feel. It's just not
yeah. That was a big reason I stopped sort of going to see Fish and a lot of other bands too, is because, when we were seeing them, here I sound like the curmudgeony old man.
Yeah, right.
But, it was $30, and we were going to see, $32.50, and we're seeing the Grateful Dead at Soldier Field, and,
man.
And then, and then I'm looking up and I'm like, oh, let's go see Fish. And it's like $60. I'm not going to pay $60 for a concert, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, maybe I will. And then I'm paying it. I'm all right. And then it's 70, and then it's 80. And then this year it's like 112 if I want to be on the field. But like, dude, I guess that's the cost of everything. They got to pay their people. And,
well, I don't think they're hurting for money, though.
That's what I was saying. As you say, who knows how much longer they're going to do it, and maybe they're just saving up a little too.
Yeah,
but at the same time, what else am I going to see that's going to give me that bang for the buck? Like, man, that Saturday Night Fish show I saw this year when they had that 5-song encore.
You saw one of the best.
Yeah, I was just like,
I've got that rated like second of the year, below the 8-4 MSG show was really good too.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden show was really good. But yeah, I've got that Dick show as one of the best this year. It's really good.
I agree. Yeah, it blew my mind. But
like the older I get too, it's just there's so much that goes into going to a concert. It's not just buying the ticket. It's like showing up and having to deal with all the people. Everyone's chain smoking or whatever. It's just. I do it outside. I don't know if I go to an indoor concert. I'll tell you, we're talking about other bands now, but did you catch any of the Goose concerts out there? Are you a fan?
I've heard a little bit of Goose. I'm not going to say I'm not a fan, because I like what I've heard of Goose. But I just I haven't dug into it. Like
they don't really get like into them. They don't take it out there jams. It's more just jamming, But they're really good, man. And they just played Red Rocks, and they were amazing concerts. So that's the band I've been into lately. I've been getting into them a little bit.
That's cool.
Really fun to watch. I like the Rick guy, the guitarist. He's great. He's really good.
Mm-hmm.
They bring the funk. You know what I mean? They have that like fish funk, cow funk, whatever you call it. They got that thing going for them. So I really like that stuff.
I definitely like what I've heard. I just haven't taken the time. I don't know if somebody's impressed me recently that I've seen like on I think he did Bonnaroo, and then he did that thing in Indiana that I can't. All In, I think it was called.
All In, yeah.
But Corey Wong, are you familiar with him?
Yeah, I've heard of him. I haven't checked him out much, but I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's great. He's really just really super funky, and his band is so tight, just like a giant horn section, amazing drummer, great, just great everywhere you look, great in the band, right? And but he specifically decided, I want to be known as a crazy badass guitar player, but I'm not going to play lead guitar.
Oh,
and yeah, so it's just all like just the funkiest out there stuff? just rhythm, just crushes rhythm, like just super funky, like a little Princey. You could tell he's listening to some Minneapolis a little bit, but he also has a group called the Fearless Flyers, which is Joe Dart, I want to say his name is, from Wolfpack, the bass player from that, and this drummer, and I can't remember his name right now, but he just plays only a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat. Okay.
Oh, no fill.
That's it. Just
that's all I play drums.
But it is blow your mind level, Neil Peart level drumming on just a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat. Like, how is he doing what he's doing on just that? Like his crashes are, like just so
right.
So good.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you who is, after getting into fishing and watching like the spring tour, summer tour, I've been so impressed with John Fishman. He's just the way he does it. He plays so around the beat, but he's always right on the one. He's like the most steady guy, but he's playing so backward around it. Like in some of those jams, he just takes it all the way around.
Yeah, he's a
monster. I just never heard anyone play like that,
Yeah. His own as style. Trey said, there's a reason they named the band after him.
Yeah, for sure. And like, so, my top drummers, Bill Kreutzmann, he's maybe not like the later days. I feel like the era we got into, a lot of the band had kind of checked out. Like Phil isn't really on it as much. I mean, he'd have his moments, but there's kind of, they're going through the motions a lot of the time. But man, back in the 1972, 73, like he was just tearing it up. There's just something about Billy, back in the
I think what's some of the shows we saw in 93 and 94, I felt like 92 might have been not quite as stellar, but I felt like 93 and 94 there was sort of a bounce back, and
those were good shows. Energy. Like the ones we saw, like Jerry's birthday show was really good. And,
at the Palace, that was such a good time. That was so good. Fun. Yeah, that was, and everybody. I remember, like, we went that whole tour, and they never played Scarlet Fire. Like, come on, they're not going to play. Like, when are they going to play? And they're like, okay, they're going to save it for Jerry's birthday. We get all the way up to the night, and it's Jerry's turn to open the second set, because Bob had just closed out the first, and instead they play Victim or the Crime and then Scarlet Fire. Yeah, like, oh, they're not going to do it at all, and then they unload this just a really good Scarlet Fire. I felt like too. So what are you into these days? Like, beyond the Fish and the Grateful Dead, like, have you found and Goose? I mean, have you found something like maybe a movie or a TV show or an album or a band? Like, what's something that's really knocked you out recently?
Well, my wife and I, she calls this genre sad dad music.
Okay.
Sad dad folk music, right? And this guy that lives out there near you, well, he lives near Boulder, so I don't know, that might not be near you.
It's not too
It's in your state, It's in that general area.
Like 40 minutes.
Yeah. So, but his name's Gregory Alan Isaacov. Have you heard of this guy?
I have not.
You know who he is? Oh, he's great. It's not like jam band music. He doesn't jam out the songs, but he's a great songwriter. He's a great lyricist. He's a great poet. That's one of our favorites. But it's emotionally, it's sad dad music, Very sad songs, which sometimes are the best, Right. Those are always my favorite Jerry songs, the sad Jerry songs.
Right. What's the instrumentation?
What do you mean? Like what kind of?
Like guitar, bass, drum?
Oh, yeah. He's got it's very acoustic. So he's playing acoustic. He has like a banjo player with him. He got upright bass, drummer, sometimes a steel guitar. That might be the banjo player too, doing the lap guitar thing, But check it out. He is awesome. And he's got his own little farm out there in Boulder where he grows medicinal marijuana, And
Yeah.
he does that part-time too.
That's cool.
But he's on tour right now, and to all you guys out there, I'm plugging Gregory on Isakov. He's great.
All right. Awesome. I'll check them out too. I'm
Yeah.
always looking for new music to listen to for sure.
Yeah, like I said, it's very different. It's not jam band music, but it's just well-written songs, you know, like good folk music, that kind of stuff.
Awesome. One thing I didn't touch on, and I got to say this, we wore out the "You're Only in It for the Money" CD.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you remember that thing like on over at my place, just on repeat?
What's there to live for? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got really into that. I had all the albums at once.
Yeah. Yeah, we would just like it had Lumpy Gravy, so it was those two. I think like the 2 for 1, and sadly I didn't know this at the time, but it was the remixed ones, with like the Chad Wackerman drums, and I didn't realize there was.
Did he do all the music on there with Chad Wackerman?
Well, yeah. So what happened? Frank went back and re-recorded all the bass and drums for "Rolling in It for the Money," "Lumpy Gravy," "Reuben and the Jets." I think that was it, but there might have been one or two more, and had Chad and Walter Barrow, I want to say, but I can't remember exactly, play overdub the bass and drums, and then they re-released it as remastered on those CD that we were listening to back in the 90s.
Kidding. That's really how good Chad Wackerman is. To like replicate that old style.
Totally. And he just wanted an updated sound. Yeah, he wanted an updated drum sound, an updated bass sound, because he felt like it all sounded dated. So I got it on vinyl, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, what the hell is this? Because I'm listening to like the original version,
No kidding. Dude, I got to check out the original one. That's the only one I've heard too.
Yeah, it's out there. I think there was they did a release that had like several different versions on it. But yeah, check out the original version of that, of those two albums, and it's like a whole new experience.
Okay, I got one more story for you, and
all right,
this is kind of crude, and we'll see if you remember it. And we don't have to include this if we don't want to.
All right.
But okay, so it's 93 Deer Creek. You and I rode together, and we stopped at the Taco Bell on the way there.
Yeah.
And this must have been before I was vegan vegetarian, because I got myself one of those chili cheese-a-rito things or whatever they were,
Uh-huh.
We got to the Grateful Dead concert, and we parked, and I'm feeling a little, in my belly. Okay.
Taco Bell will do that.
Yeah. So, you know what's coming, right? So, we call in our family, we refer to a shart as a petly, because
as a what?
As a petly. We made up this word.
Okay.
A petly, right? Because we didn't want our 5-year-old daughter to know what a shart was. Say shart.
Yeah,
it's called a petly. So yeah, we got to this Grateful Dead show, 93, and I just petly all over myself. Do you remember this at all? Do you remember
I do vaguely remember that, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, dude, I just petly. We're at a Grateful Dead show. What am I going to do?
Mm-hmm. Like, so, I sort of remember that moment, because I feel like that was the exact moment I was eating like 8 hits of LSD, and you were trying to tell me that, and I was a little distracted on what might be about to happen. So, sadly, what happened was not very good for me that night, but
Really? I don't remember. Did you have a tough time that night? I don't remember.
Man, I had a super tough time. And I remember we're walking back to your, you had that what was it, like a Bronco or something, or Blazer or something? Blazer. Yeah. We're walking back there, and I'm just having a bad time. And we get back there, you're like, I got it, man. I got the tunes for you. You just hop in the back. I got this. And you throw on like REM or something. I'm like, whoa, no.
Really? Listen to this Kate Bush. You'll love it.
Yeah. I'm like, no. And so we finally agreed on Burning and Looting. And I was like,
there you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, this is what I need right now. And all was right with the world at that point.
Yeah.
But
that was my coming down music, that album.
Yeah.
That song, Put It On, that's the one you want when you're coming down off the
totally. But I do remember you were trying to explain to me, like, dude, I gotta go find like a porta potty here. I gotta find something. And at the same time I'm like, okay, man, but okay.
Well, and then I had this like old pair, this pair of shorts from like when I was in junior high. So they were like Bob Weir shorts, right? So I've got
Cosplay.
these yeah, I got these short shorts on, you know. But luckily I had an extra pair of shorts. So I went to the nasty porta potty and cleaned myself up and
Yeah.
just went commando with these Bob Weir shorts. So me and Bobby, we were on the same page that night. You know, he had his short shorts and I had mine, and people probably thought I was a big Bob Weir fan. You know?
Yeah, I do sort of remember playing some hacky sack while you were wearing short shorts, and you're like, I can't kick too high.
Yeah, man. So that was a funny story. My family loves that story. I think it's the most hilarious thing.
Just pass it down for generations.
Yeah. So that's my peppily sharting myself at the Grateful Dead show. So
Nice.
do not recommend.
You and I, we played a lot of hacky sack though. Like we
Oh, yeah,
would
dude.
like for like hours and hours we would play hacky sack.
To this day, I have an amazing balance when I'm on my left foot. You know, I can stand on my left foot for hours.
Nice.
All the hacky sack we played, you know. Yeah,
Like
so
Ralph
you guys
Macchio.
remember
So
this
good.
is before there were like good video games. We didn't have phones, you know, that we carried around. We played hacky
No.
sack. We got stoned. We played hacky sack.
We did. We
that
would
was
go to
what
the
we did.
park and just crank up the stereo and play hacky sack for hours next to the river.
Yeah, Junior. Remember he had that big van? We'd like all hop in his.
Man, yeah. So
We'd all
good.
hop in his van and just go play hacky sack.
Man,
Good time.
one night you're like, we're gonna smoke weed every possible way we can figure out. and you got to where you're just like lighting it on fire and holding it in front of you.
Like, gonna burn this bud just right here. That probably worked nowadays with how potent it is. We were smoking some nasty ditchweed back then, you know.
That's no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember we'd have like you had some old friends that were like in their 40s, and they had that good next.
Oh yeah. I was playing in
what was
that
that guy's
classic
name?
rock. I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
Dennis. I think I was playing in
Yeah.
some classic rock band with some older guys, and
Mhm.
just learning how to play. You know, those guys were funny.
I was in the band with you for a second. I was going to be the singer, and
Yeah.
we played this Toad the Wet Sprocket song, and it was so awful. I was like, I can't.
No, it was all so awful. I didn't last too long either, but I did make a friend out of it. That Dennis guy, he was a pretty good guy, and I'd see him around town quite a bit.
Was he the guy that was playing guitar?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was at his house. I liked him too.
Yeah, he was like the sane one.
Okay.
The other guy, I don't even know, some other guy. The guy who was singing before you came, he was like 40, right? But he had a girlfriend who was like 16.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
yeah, it was the worst. It was like, I got to get out of here. And then they got rid of him, and it wasn't so bad, but it still wasn't great. So,
I just came over for all the duties, you know.
yeah, there was
That's the
duties
friends,
to be
you know.
had.
It's a good times, man. Well,
Yeah,
shit.
no doubt.
That's about all the stories. I mean, we could probably go over all kinds of stories, but I
Totally.
think that's what I got.
All right, Kurt. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Right on,
you.
Will.
I've been bugging you, I know, for a while to come and do this, and
This is
so I
fun, man.
appreciate
Maybe
you.
we can do this again sometime.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure,
We got more to talk about. You know, who knows?
no doubt. All right, take care.
You too.
Just wanted to add a couple of things to the end of this episode. This was my 20th episode, so if you've made it through all 20 so far and you're hearing this, thank you so much for listening. This episode was also recorded on my 50th birthday, so pardon, I had a couple of beers, not typical. And lastly, I'll be closing out the show with a song from my guest, Kurt. He goes as Veganic Vibes on SoundCloud. I'll be putting a link to his music in the show notes. But here's a song called New Funk Stroll. Hey now, do you have a great story about a Grateful Dead show you were at? I'd love to hear it and maybe have you on the podcast. Send me an email at will@talesfromthelot.org and let me know what show you would like to talk about and what made it so special to you.